The recent conflict in West Asia has so far claimed over 40,000 lives in Gaza, over 1,000 in Lebanon and around 1,700 in Israel since the October 7 Hamas-led attack inside Israeli territory last year. The kidnapping of Israeli hostages by Hamas may have been the immediate trigger for escalating hostilities. But the roots of this conflict go far back. Let's try to understand the history of geopolitical tensions over the Holy Land. With the Israel-Hamas war snowballing into a quadrilateral conflict with Iran and Lebanon also coming into the picture, let's recap the latest escalation. On October 7th of 2023, Palestinian group Hamas attacked a music festival in southern Israel. According to Israeli authorities, 1,200 people were killed and 253 were taken hostage by Hamas. Israel responded with a military offensive in Gaza, in which more than 41,500 Palestinians have been killed, according to Gaza health authorities. Nearly the entire population of 2.3 million people in the enclave have been displaced from their homes, and much of the territory has been laid to waste. But to truly understand this bloody war, we need to go back decades. It all goes back to the Israeli demand of a promised Holy Land for the Jewish people. In 1947, while Palestine was under British mandate rule, the United Nations General Assembly agreed to a plan to partition it into Arab and Jewish states and for international rule over Jerusalem. Jewish leaders accepted the plan, which gave them 56% of the land. The Arab League rejected the proposal. The world was still reeling from the horrors of Holocaust, the systematic persecution of Jewish people in Germany before and during World War II under Adolf Hitler. Also during this time, the seeds of conflict between Jews and Arabs were sprouting. Israel's founding father, David Ben-Gurion, proclaimed the modern state of Israel on May 14, 1948. A day after Israel was created, troops from 5 Arab states attacked it. This resulted in some 700,000 Palestinians fleeing or rather being driven out of their homes, ending up in Jordan, Lebanon and Syria, and in Gaza, the West Bank and East Jerusalem. While Israel maintains the event forced out Palestinians, the Palestinians remember the event as Nakba or catastrophe. Though peace interventions ended the bloody fight temporarily, the region has never seen complete peace since then.
In May of 1948, a new Jewish state, Israel, was born in a bath of blood. Jewish troops routed Arab forces from the city of Haifa in the first of a series of battles that were to reverberate through the years.
First, the 1967 Six-Day War. Israel initiated expansion and capture of the West Bank and East Jerusalem from Jordan, the Golan Heights from Syria, and the Sinai Peninsula from Gaza Strip and Egypt. According to Israel, Gaza's population was 394,000 in 1967. At least 67% of them were Palestinian refugees or descendants. Next, 1973, Yom Kippur War. 6 years after the Israeli offensive, Egypt and Syria attacked Israeli positions along the Suez Canal and Golan Heights. However, the attempt did not last long as Israel pushed back the enemy groups within 3 weeks. Next, in 1982, Israel invades Lebanon. Israel invaded southern Lebanon in 1982, and this invasion was followed by the creation of the group Hezbollah, deemed a terror group by various countries. With Israel pushing into Lebanese territory, particularly in the country's eastern Bekaa region, Hezbollah emerged as a resistance force with the backing of Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps. Over time, Hezbollah would become one of the most formidable non-state actors in the Middle East and a persistent thorn in Israel's side. 3 years later, in 1985, Hezbollah took a more formal shape with the establishment of its military arm, the Islamic Resistance in Lebanon. Around this time, another militant group was being born, Hamas, which called itself a resistant group, with the stated goal of preventing further Israeli occupation, was formally announced in 1987 in Palestine, after which the first Palestinian Intifada or uprising happened from 1987 to 1993. This included protests, civil disobedience, and even riots in Israel-occupied Palestinian territories of that time. Human rights bodies were concerned about Israel deploying around 80,000 soldiers with live arms in the region to deal with the Intifada. Around 1,900 people died in the 6-year-long conflict. Over 1,600 of them were Palestinians and over 350 of them were Israeli. Meanwhile, Israeli troops pulled out of Lebanon in 2000, and then we go to 2005. After Israel pulled troops from Gaza as well in 2005, Hamas won parliamentary elections in 2006 and seized full control of Gaza in 2007. Hamas won in the backdrop of the second Intifada or the second uprising. An image of a father protecting his son from the Israeli army, where both of them end up shot dead, became the symbol of this uprising. In 2006, we had the 6-week war against Lebanon. Lebanon's Iran-backed Hezbollah militants captured 2 Israeli soldiers in the border region, and Israel launched a military action, triggering a 6-week war in 2006. These are all the sparks of war, or at least some major sparks of war. But what about efforts for peace? In 1979, Egypt became the first Arab state to sign a peace treaty with Israel, under which the Sinai Peninsula was returned to them. In 1993, Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin and Palestinian Liberation Organization leader Yasser Arafat shook hands on the Oslo Accords, establishing limited Palestinian autonomy in the West Bank and Gaza. In 1994, Israel signed a peace treaty with Jordan. But at a summit 6 years later, attended by Arafat, Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak, and US President Bill Clinton at Camp David, they all failed to secure a final peace deal. In 2002, a proposed Arab League plan offered Israel with normal relations with all Arab countries in return for a full withdrawal from the lands it took in the 1967 Middle East War, the creation of a Palestinian state, and a just solution for Palestinian refugees. The plan failed for multiple reasons: a resistance to withdrawal by Israel and an escalation of conflict by Hamas, which blew up a hotel that was housing Holocaust survivors. Further, Palestinian-Israeli peacemaking efforts have been stalled since 2014. Now, since 2023 till today, though some hostages have been released by Hamas, it says it will not release the remaining until a complete ceasefire is promised by Israel, along with the withdrawal of Israeli forces from Palestinian territory. Israel has on multiple occasions ruled this suggestion out. US President Joe Biden's administration has sought a grand bargain in the Middle East or West Asia that would include normalization of relations between Israel and Saudi Arabia. Riyadh says it would require progress towards creating an independent Palestinian state, which Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has ruled out. While many countries, especially Palestinians' ally, consider Israeli settlements in the region as illegal, Israel plans to expand further. Israel is also not open to a two-state solution where both Israel and Palestine get a few of their demands while making a few sacrifices. For NDTV, this is Anviti.